Welcome back, you guys, to this week's episode of the Leo's Touch podcast. You know what? I was thinking about this today. Every single time that I introduce somebody onto the show, I always say I'm joyed, I'm thrilled, I'm so excited, and it's true. I am with all of those episodes and with all those people that I have on the show, and for future reference too as well. I am equally as excited, but this episode's a little different. This episode, in my opinion, I think is going to be the most important episode that I put on the Leo's Touch podcast. And the reason being is because the person who I have on today isn't just a guest to me. This person who I have on the show is the reason why this show exists, is also the reason why I exist. And for me, this episode is a lot more important than just sharing personal experience and talking about certain stories. This episode in particular, is going to delve a lot deeper into an idea or topic or situation or a problem that is a lot larger than just two of us in the room together and Andrew. But with that being said, this person is, well, again, the person who brought me into this world, raised me, and taught me everything that she knows and is still teaching me everything that she knows today. And I'm grateful for that beyond belief. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce my mother to the show. Sandra, say hello to the people.
Hi, people.
So, Mom, with that all, being said, I thought about, this really just came to me like 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I called you
Right.
yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm like, Mom, I want you on the show. And the reason for that is because there's something going on and has been going on for a really long time in the world, not just in our relationship,
Right.
but more or less in the world. And there's this constant talk of relationships between parent and child, and in our situation, mother and son.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spoken about you loads on the show. In almost every single episode, I say my mom this, my mom that, something. Because, again, like I said at the start, you are the most important person to me on the entire world. And so to have you on a show and to talk about mother and son,
Mm-hmm.
relationship between parent and child, is my intent and my mission with this and with this episode. And this might be, the start of something more. You might come on the show more, who knows? But to that point, I want to talk about the relationship, so that those who are listening, who maybe have a non-existent relationship with their parents, a rocky relationship with their parents,
Right.
or maybe the best relationship with their parents, I want this to be for them. Or even those who don't even have parents to listen to this, because there are people out there who don't.
Right.
Right? And so with that being said, before we get in, the question that I'm about to ask you, because you watch the show. The most meaningful thing to Sandra today, what would that be?
That would be Sarah, Quentin, Parker, Corey, and Sophie. That's my daughter, my middle son, my youngest son, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter. Is that on Earth? Are we talking about on Earth?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I would say most in the immediate tense of right now, today, the thing that, matters the most to you in that regard.
Okay, because I would also, you know what, the thing that matters the most to me in my life
Mm-hmm.
overall is my relationship with Jesus. That's my number one.
Mm-hmm.
And because I love him, because he loves me, I love my children with an unconditional love. I love my children. I love them in the morning. I love them in the noon. I love them in the evening underneath the moon. and my skidamarinky dinky dink. But it all stems because of my faith and my love for the Lord Jesus.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mom, the relationship between parent and child in our situation right now, mother and son,
Right.
how important is that, would you say?
Your first part of your question, parent and child. I believe that's the most important earthly relationship you can have, because it sets a course for everything going forward. It sets your vision of what your spouse or your partner will one day be. It sets what your expectation of the world is, your view of the world. Now, between mother and son, what an amazing relationship. Can I tell you that I never wanted to have a boy? It terrified me that I would have a son. I came from a home where I was the eldest, and I have a brother who's a year and a half younger than I am, Uncle Lawrence. My mother, your grandmother, worshipped him and doted on him. He got all the privileges, even though he was younger than me, because he was a boy. Special food would be made because Lawrence wouldn't eat what we would all eat. So Mom would make him a special meal. She protected him against all the evils of the world. And I was, the daughter. I was just not as valuable. So I thought, I don't want to be a mother and have to, maybe sons make you do that. I didn't understand their dynamic, so I thought I would live to repeat it. So I had Sarah first, and we struggled with infertility after Sarah, got pregnant with Quentin, and I had a boy. And honestly, God gave me the greatest treasure. I love Sarah to the ends of the earth, but a mother and son bond, it can either get real creepy. You can go all Bates Motel up in there.
Okay.
But,
My mother, everybody. This is, yeah.
ta-da! But it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I raised, especially you and Quentin, basically on my own. You and Dad and I split up. And so I was the one getting to show you how to hang a picture. Or I remember Quentin and I working on the brakes of the car together and learning together. But I wanted to teach you, I wanted to instill in you how to treat a woman, how to treat a girlfriend. And it did not matter if you were 11 years old, with your first little crush, or 16 years old, 22 years old, or 25 years old. I wanted you to view every girl you dated, even if you didn't plan on marrying her, even if you planned on just dating her, and you knew it wasn't forever, but you should treat her like she was somebody's mother, or she will be somebody's mother. And think about how you want me treated by specifically men. The mother and son relationship is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm so thankful that you are my son.
Likewise, I am very thankful that you are my mother. And I love that you brought the relationship portion of it up, like in the sense of how to treat a woman. And just kind of going back on some of the things that you said, because there's something that I want to discuss, in the sense of, it's something that you hear a lot, how people are affected by their childhood, right? They could be 55 years old and be like, oh, he had a rough childhood, so that's why he's acting out or doing what he's doing. And to some of the part, in my personal opinion, I find that kind of a lazy excuse. Like, just like, oh, well, like just because he made a huge mistake, you can just, it's an easy scapegoat.
Oh, absolutely.
And, but I think there's a real thing there in the sense of what you just said was how you were innately nervous, or your older self didn't want a son because of what your younger self perceived and experienced.
Right.
And so thinking back and like and more or less to the point of that childhood did have an impact on the way that you saw things, the way that some of your decisions that you made, in a way that when it actually happened, now all of a sudden you are, you're figuring out that, having a son, that bond, that relationship is something, like you said, it incredible.
Well, and you know what? I think at times, and I'm sorry, and I've talked to Sarah about it, that if she felt that she didn't matter as much to me, you and Quentin is 6 years younger than her. You're 9 years younger than her.
Mm-hmm.
She was already in a different area than you guys were when Dad and I split.
Right.
So she needed different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved raising her, and the joy that I have in her is incredible, and seeing the mother that she is today. Yeah. But there's something about your little boys, because Quentin, when he saw the first sort of, it was one of those Ben Moss catalogs that was stuck in the paper for Christmas time.
Okay.
And he was looking through it. He was little, and he was looking through it. And he said, which diamonds do you want, Mommy? And you had come home from school one day, there was a project, and this was either kindergarten or grade 1. And it was a big piece of paper with beautiful furniture on it, and a cat, and an old Victorian house. And it was called Things My Mom Loves. And it just grabs your heart when you see your son sort of, get you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember the year, and I think it was Dad and my last year that we were married or living together. Mm-hmm. And it was at Christmas time. And everybody knew I was starting to draw and do sketching and things like that. And all I wanted was an art set. And I wanted, the really nice, the Staedtler pencils. Oh, I love those. Mm-hmm. And I opened my present from your dad. Oh, ooh. It was a box of crayons. And it said ages 3 and up.
Okay.
But you know what? You boys immediately went, Dad, what are you thinking? Mm-hmm. And the pattern was changing, because you were already starting to become men, in your childhood, that were caring for a woman. Mm-hmm. And not that that's fair that you had to assume that role, because I don't think children should have to assume the role of a protector and a partner, of a mom or of a dad. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we know that happens all too often.
Yeah.
Where they're caught in the crossfires.
Mm-hmm. And building off of that point, like you just sharing that, and from my standpoint, me making that thing for you and just, like you said, getting you. Mm. I think, that's something that a lot of people now, and I just had a discussion yesterday with Luke. He was on the first episode. Right. I
really enjoyed that.
Yeah. And I was talking with him today because I knew, obviously that you were coming on the show, but the mother and son relationship to him, right, from a different perspective.
Right.
And everything more or less that you've just talked about, how important the motherhood and mother and son relationship is to relationships and treating people and treating your relationships with other women or my relationships with other women or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Luke yesterday and I said, Luke, what does it mean to you when I say mother and son relationship? He says vital.
Mm.
And as everybody knows who's watching this, if you haven't seen the first episode, go watch it because you'll know how Luke says things, and he says it with such emphasis.
Oh my goodness, he's such a passionate young man.
But to that point, it's like he said it's vital because he said it's something that he missed out on.
Yeah.
Right? Because he shares in that episode that his mom passed away when he was 13 years old.
Right.
Right around the age once you start being interested
Yeah.
in girls. And I asked him if I could share this. And he said, yeah. And he said, that's totally okay. And he said, the reason for it being vital is because now he's growing up in a way and has grown up in a way where he doesn't know how to treat women or he doesn't know how to react to women.
Right.
Because he didn't have his mother there for counsel. And I mean, Luke has a totally different, situation from you and I,
Mm-hmm.
with his mother. To that point, he talks about, the substance abuse with alcohol
Right.
and all those things and how that played such a role in his life and really bittered that relationship early on. And then unfortunately her passing, there was a realization there for Luke later on that again, like you've talked about, how important it is to treat a woman and not only to treat a woman, but treat people around you.
Exactly.
Right. And I attest all of that, all of my ability to treat my clients as I do. And I say this because I have a lot of clients who very well feel like my mother to some
Right.
extent. Right. And I'm not
you
going to
tell
name
me
names.
that. You tell me that all the time.
Because the mindset that I go in with every time that I work with somebody is treat them like my mom. Treat them as if they were my mom. And I've been fairly successful.
It's working for you.
But to kind of come back to Luke's standpoint, I thought it was very important to share this because again, it's speaking on those, and as we get more into this topic, it's speaking to those who either one don't have the best relationship with their mother, because at times you and I didn't have the best relationship with one another.
No.
And again, to kind of allow those who are listening to think if they're in that position without the loving and caring relationship between parent and child, and to think like, how important that relationship actually plays into all other relationships that you have. So coming back to that point, what is something early on that you tried to instill in me? Because you had 1, 2, 3 goes at raising a child.
Right.
Right. And, me being the youngest, usually there's always that saying, with the youngest, you just let them do whatever they want to do.
And Sarah and Quentin will tell you that's what's happening. And they're wrong.
So how would you say, when I was born, what was the thing, and as I grew up and developed and you got to know me, what was the thing that you said to yourself on how you were going to raise me?
You know what? I don't think I had said anything. Each one of you and anyone out there who's a parent will know this. Each of your children are different. Sarah, extremely strong-willed, extremely strong, confident, secure. Quentin, gentle and emotional. And Parker, you know what? Any of you, if you're out there, if you have been born in 1998, or if you're a parent of a child born in 1998, you know that this is a special year for these children. I remember talking to other parents in school of your class, all who were born in 98. And we were all pretty sure that your group, and this was across the planet, because I talked to people in England about children born in 98. I talk to people in the US, I talk to people from Germany, I talk to people from Africa. The consensus around the world was children born in 1998 were born to be leaders, to be passionate, to be rule breakers, because teachers would say it of your class. And for those of you out there, I know I'm not allowed to talk to Andrew, but Andrew, you're born in 1998. Was your classroom like whirling dervishes flying around like maniacs? Little bit. Like Quinton's class, born in 1995, calm and loving and gentle. 1998, whole different story. I believe God has his hand on the people who were born in 1998 and will raise you up for a purpose. We all kind of came to that consensus, these people that I had spoken with. So raising a child born in 1998 brought a whole new set of challenges. From Parker, little guy, I think it was September 11th, 2001. So it was 9/11. Before the planes had hit, we were up already. The other two had gone off to school with the school bus. And Parker got the box of Rice Krispies, spread them out on the living room floor, and peed in them to hear them snap, crackle, pop.
Andrew, you better cut this out.
I'm sorry. But everything has always been pushed to the limit with you. At Grandpa and Grandma's, my parents had cupboards above the fridge, like most people do. Grandma had a whole bank of cupboards up there. And he wanted something up in those cupboards. He wouldn't ask. He would go do it himself, no matter how old he was. No, I can do it myself. I can do it myself. Very, very independent. So raising you, wow. And what I wanted to instill in you all the time was, you know what? Here's another, sorry, I'm going back a bit.
Do it.
But
Do it.
you played football. Mm-hmm. And what ticked me off more than anything was in your generation, in Quinton's, well, I guess you and Quinton are different, all this Gen X, Y, Z, W, F, M. I don't understand.
Besides that point.
Oh, it all became you all get a trophy. Ooh. You know, you're all...
I missed that.
Yeah, you never got a trophy.
Yeah.
Every single other kid on the football team got a trophy. Well, Parker can handle not getting a trophy. Well, you know what, Coach? You've got it backwards. You don't get trophies for no reason. And not everybody gets a trophy.
And and if you recall now, after that year, and every other year after that, it wasn't, so what my mom's describing is like every game, a different kid got a trophy. But in that, what that created, like there was still a sense of individual reward in that.
Right.
But then what it became was now every kid, every game gets a ribbon, gets a trophy.
Yeah.
Not with first place, not with third place, not with any place, just a ribbon for some kind of reason. But
a random reason.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, somewhere things went off the rails to say, you know what, you get rewarded. You get rewards and rewards and rewards for anything.
Breeds entitlement.
Oh, exactly. Mm-hmm. And you're a bunch of entitled 1998ers. I tried really hard to change that for you. Mm-hmm. I didn't do a good job.
Well, I beg to differ. Because I think in our relationship, like I said, it wasn't always the best thing in the world, right? And
Well, you stood up to me. I mean, you didn't, you questioned everything.
mhm.
You were entitled.
Oh yeah,
You thought it didn't matter what I did. And because I had guilt,
hmm
because your dad and I had split up, so I was trying to, appease that guilt
right.
by doing everything I could to make your life, quote unquote, the best it could be.
hmm
And man, like if I could go back,
I don't want you to go back, and
I
you
would
see,
I
well,
would probably do it again.
but the thing with that, and let me say this, in my opinion, you raised me the best way anybody could have ever raised me, because you, one, understood that I was going to do whatever I wanted to do no matter what you said, like you just talked about my independence to that regard, and to be honest, that 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 trait of independence, or that attribute of independence, and then the mix of entitlement, all compilated into me getting my ass burnt several times, me falling flat on my face several times, and this is and what has grown our relationship more so beyond anything I could be ever thankful for. Like I said, you're the most meaningful person to me. You matter the most to me in this world because of these moments that we went through, because of the freedom that you gave me to grow, to make mistakes, to fail, to fall flat on my face, to understand who I was.
Do you think though it was brutal giving you that opportunity?
Oh, I can't even imagine.
I can't. When my phone would ring, and I should have had a separate ring for you, but I could always sense when it was you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd go, oh, because I thought, oh, Parker, what's wrong? Isn't that how I usually answered the phone?
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore, but
But before, yes.
Parker, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And to always have that angst, is Parker okay?
Mm-hmm.
Has lived with me for 22 years.
And I think that comes to one of my biggest focuses now as a young adult, as a young man growing up and trying to make something of himself, with starting, my passions and these businesses, to ultimately give you that reassurance that I'm okay. In a weird way, that is what it is, because
Yeah.
I've recognized that and I've seen it, because like you said, it's been for 22 years. And if I couldn't recognize that after 22 years, then maybe I have an awareness problem. Maybe I'm somewhat legally blind if I can't recognize that through my mom. And coming back to the point where, you've been there every single time that I've fallen flat on my face, and you were the only hand that pushed through all the others to grab me and pull me up. That speaks more than words could ever do, and I say that because, again, that's what I will attest all of my parenting. That's what I will attest all of my career, on how I treat my clients, on how I treat anybody that I am involved with, on how you raised me and how you treated me, and how you took care of me, and how that care, you sacrificed so much in all of that just to make sure that I was okay, right? Because you said for 22 years, that's every time I call, that's what you're wondering, or that's, you have that innate sense.
Well, I get in that. It's almost like an adrenaline rush where I get that fight or flight,
Mhm,
and go, okay, what am I going to have to do now?
mhm,
Because I'm a fixer. I
mhm.
love fixing. I'm gifted at fixing or repairing, and I love a call to action. I love a battle.
Mm.
Not a battle in the way, not like
But just like a challenge,
I
something
love a
to, yeah.
challenge. If you say, Mom, you know what? I can't make rent. I can't buy groceries. Zim lost all 3 of his legs, and I just cut my own hair. What am I going to do? I would be in there like a dirty shirt because, number one, I love you more than I love my life. I would give my life for you without a second thought. I would do that for Sarah, for Quentin, for Corey, for Sophie. The only other thing I would give my life for, and I would do that first and foremost, is for my faith. If someone asked me to denounce Jesus Christ and that he had died for me on the cross, I said, kill me now.
Amen.
Because for me, that's all it is. And because of his love, again, I will say that is how I have love for you. And his love is coming through me to you. Don't put me on a pedestal. I get to be used by God to be love to you here on earth. And that includes your friends, your girlfriend, your acquaintances. If Andrew, you would know, if you were hungry, you could come to me anytime. Stefan could come to me anytime. Will could come to me anytime. If Maya needed me, I would be there. Because my love for you flows out to them. And that's who I want you to be. That the love you have for me flows through me out to others.
Amen.
Amen.
With that, you guys, we are going to take a little break here, and then when we come back, we will lead in with our next question. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. I wanted to take this time to share some information with you guys about Leo Fit. I'm launching Leo Fit with 1 out of 4 main services of our brand, and that is Leo Fitness Coaching. What that includes for those of you interested in the Winnipeg area is one-on-one in-person training. Secondly is our fully customizable workout plans for those of you anywhere in the world with weekly check-ins on your progress and live coaching tips to help you achieve a higher fitness level. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode, and for anyone interested in Leo Fit, you can email us at inquiriesleofit@gmail.com. Again, that is inquiriesleofit@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Alrighty, you guys, we are back again with my mom talking about relationship. Just like Quentin. Okay. Mom, what is the hardest part? Or what was the most challenge? And I mean, we've spoken about this a little bit, but what is the most challenging thing about raising a child? Not me, just in general. What was the most challenging thing on raising a child?
Discipline. Maintaining a level of when you said something and you meant it, follow through. Mm-hmm. If disciplining was involved, it's real easy to go,
She didn't mean that.
I didn't want to do that.
I don't have to clean my room. She didn't really mean that.
She didn't really mean that because there are no consequences.
Right. And
implementing consequences is a big deal. Can I tell the stick story?
Do you want? You know what? I knew it was inevitable to come up, and
it's gotta
if
happen.
Quentin didn't already say it in the bro talk, he would have already said it in another segment of that.
Yeah. Okay. We lived on a farm just outside of Altona, a 9-acre yard, and Sarah was, gosh, what year was this? 2001, 2002. So Parker was a pretty little guy.
I thought we would have lived in Altona by that point, did we not?
No, we lived on the farm up till 2003. And so there's three of them, and you guys fought like hellcats at times. Like and you wouldn't fight physically, but you would fight with words, and you would be cruel to each other. And this one day, oh my goodness, if you guys weren't just like, I was fit to be tied because you guys were being mean to each other, saying things like, I hate you. I wish you'd die. I hate you. And I had it. We were doing renovations, which we did most of the time. So there was a huge pile of lumber out in front of the house. And I'm going to talk to you now because Parker knows the story. So I took them out to the front yard, and there was this huge pile of lumber and sticks and old wood. And I gave each of them a stick with nails in it. And they're looking.
Parenting 101. Give your kids sticks with nails in it.
And they looked at me, and I said, now, Sarah, Quentin, and Parker, what I want you to do is take these sticks and start hitting each other.
Like, like, when I actually hear you say that now, like, what if we were actually, like, crazy kids? Because there are some kids that would take those sticks and do that. Continue to explain the story because we have everybody in suspense right now.
So I gave them each a stick to take. They didn't want to. I made you take it. And I said, now start and use the side with the nails and really do some damage.
Andrew, is this the first you're hearing the story?
And they all, but Mom, what do you want us to do? I said, I want you to hit each other till you bleed. But Mom, I love my sister. I love my brother. I said, do you now? Well, you're not acting like it, so get busy. Don't make us, we love each other. I said, but you just told each other you hated each other. You said you wanted each other dead. This is what hate and wanting each other dead looks like. So if that's how you feel, start. They were so upset. You guys were so upset. How could we want you to hurt each other? How could I want you to hurt each other? But you realized, I love you, Sarah. I love you too, Parker. And it was a big love fest. Like it was just,
In the weirdest way, I think that's your proudest moment as a parent because this story comes up almost every time. But you know what? It worked. That was probably one of the most effective things that you did. Not that, all of our relationships were just sunshine and rainbows after that and all we did was hug each other after.
No, absolutely not.
But imagine if somebody did that today. Like a parent did that today with the society of like shield your kids from absolutely everything. Imagine if that
oh, I'd do it today.
Well, I know you would, but if we were the kids,
Andrew and Parker, if you start doing anything, you're getting sticks.
Okay. If we were the kids of today, if I was 4 years old at that point, Quentin would have been 8 or 7 at that point. Sarah would have been however old. Sarah would have had a phone.
13.
Sarah would have had TikTok. Sarah would have had Instagram. Sarah would have been able to go live at any moment.
Yeah.
This day, what would stop a kid just from putting the phone right in front of their parent and be like, my mom's trying to get me to kill my sister?
I'd be, you know what? You guys knew that there was a line of authority. And I think that's so much now. I even see with Sophie, that line of authority is blurring because it's not sort of the politically correct thing to do to discipline your child.
And it's not like you were out there spanking us with the nails.
I really wasn't.
No. You taught us the fundamental idea or the fundamental discipline, let's say, or the realization of what our actions and what our words,
Your actions
what
and
the
words have
consequences.
consequences.
Yeah. And you showed us that through your discipline with us, and through then that idea, that thought, that visualization came first and foremost in our heads. And we're not evil kids. We weren't evil kids.
Absolutely not.
And those things, those words just come out because we don't know any better. But after that point, I can say, for the most part, we did know better to a degree.
Because hate, all of a sudden, that word, and we as society even now use it so flippantly. I hate that. Oh, I hate that. You know, I hate that song. What is hate really? It's a violent act. It's a violent, cruel, despicable thing. And when hate really looks at us in the face, it's so much more than I don't like you or I don't agree with what you're saying.
Right.
It becomes violent. And I wanted to show you. Because the world outside of your home is a violent place. Unfortunately, for some people, their homes are violent places.
Yeah.
And that pains my heart. But I knew I had to prepare you not only to be loving towards one another, but I had to also teach you, you were part of this planet. And people you meet every day, I wanted you to love them and not hate them. A, because they were different than you. B, because they had different ideas than you. I believe that you can love others without ascribing to what they believe in. I can love you if you are of a different faith, you are of a different philosophical persuasion. Because I love you because you are a fellow human made in God's image. I may not agree with what you do. I may not even like what you do. I may even feel anger at what you do, but feeling anger is okay. Being angry is not okay.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, like, even the other day, you were upset, right? I called you and you're like, Parker, I'm upset. I'm pissed off. And
I don't think I said pissed off.
well,
did I?
you were expressing yourself, just letting me know that you were upset because there wasn't a spare tire in your brand new convertible that you just bought.
Oh, I just bought a brand new convertible.
Yeah, well, I'm just got a,
Pontiac G6. What?
So
Hardtop.
the one thing that you said, because I called you, and usually, my immediate reaction, is to even just like when I have clients come in and they're like visibly upset, right? They have things going on and you can tell, and being of service or having that of service mindset, you always want to try and solve a problem for
Right.
them. And sometimes you want to solve it so much more than they actually want to solve it for themselves. Right. And that's something that I do understand that I sometimes struggle with. Sometimes I'm a little bit more passionate about that. And I'm learning to...
You're very good at it. You're very good at de-escalating a situation.
But also not all the time, right? Like it's more or less consistent, but it's also too, I'm not just like Superman. I can't just come in every single time, jump into that phone box, come out with the uniform and save the day. I can't always do that. And I understand that. And I forgive myself for that. Yeah. But what you said to me on the phone, I was trying to, make you laugh a little bit, cheer you up a little bit, let you know that this anger is temporary, do all the things that I would, talk about, trying to, like you said, de-escalate the situation. But you said to me exactly what you just said. You said, Parker, I'm allowed to be angry, or I'm allowed to feel anger or frustration. And that's 100% true. Because if you don't, right, like if you don't express those emotions, because they're real emotions.
Right.
Even with our faith, Jesus got mad at the fig tree. that fig tree never bared fruit ever again. That was an act of anger, right? So it's like, it's not this like Christ-like thing or godly thing to never express anger. And because those who believe that, I find, and again, I'm bringing this back to parenting, is so many parents try and shield their kids from feeling all these different emotions, right? Feeling the anger, feeling the
Yeah.
frustration,
Yeah.
feeling sad, all these things, because they don't want to see their child hurt, right? And now as I'm growing up, I don't want to see you hurt. I don't want to see you angry. I don't want to see you sad, right? So again, it's almost like that innate care of wanting the person that you care about, not wanting to feel those things, but
Right.
in doing that, you're almost hindering them to resolve their own issue, which is the most powerful thing.
Exactly. You're taking away their ability to function in a world that will throw all sorts of things at them. And the goal of a parent is to let you go. And to, the bird pushes her baby out. These are, of course, all kinds of analogies, but
Right.
I read, because Sarah's mother-in-law passed away suddenly in April of cancer, and Corey, her son, they were very close. They butted heads often, but there's that mother and son bond. And I saw something on Zulily, one of these little plaques. The only thing my mother never taught me was how to live without her. I have taught you guys so much stuff, but to date, I haven't taught you how to live without me. And one day you're going to have to. So I'm going to start having classes. This is what you do when I'm gone. Ugh. But you know what? I want to teach you everything else. And hopefully by then, everything else, I'll have enough time. But we don't all have Luke's mom didn't have enough time. We don't all have enough time to teach our children what to do when we're gone. But I trust that everything I have taught you, everything I've shown you, on all our trips, I used to own my own sales company, and I would take Parker. I'd actually take him out of school because I thought, you know what? A week here
I'm
and
doing
there.
just fine. I can spell.
You can spell.
Kind of.
Better now. But so he'd go on.
Hey.
He'd go on.
Andrew's laughing because I sent him the descriptions for all of these episodes, and I guarantee you that there are so many weird fumbled words in that. But anyways, continue on your story.
I would take Parker on road trips. So we'd go to Thunder Bay, we'd go to Banff, we'd go everywhere. We went canoeing on Lake Louise, and I could do all of that even in summer holidays because my business was thriving then. We were selling in for Christmas, and I would take Parker along. And we just, do you remember we listened to Emily
Audiobooks, yeah.
Griffin audiobooks, read by Cynthia Nixon. We listened to the Elizabeth Taylor life story, all in audio.
Those are some of the best moments that I ever recall.
They were fabulous.
You know.
But all that time, you would see how I would deal with renting a hotel, how I would deal with my customers. Because sometimes, Parker, you'd come along.
Oh, yeah, I'd be there.
And he would see how to build relationships in a really positive, I think a very positive way.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how to show people that they were valued. And that's what I wanted for each of you, to know that you value people because they're valuable.
And
they're
now,
worth it.
Now, more than ever, it's like, especially, well, to me, I mean, because, of starting my own business now.
Right.
And my business is relationships. My business is people.
Absolutely.
And I'm reading these books and reading the one book, Stillness is the Key, and it talks about, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, all these like great athletes, these great people, and well, not so much great people, but like they went on to accomplish many great things. And I'm not
They
saying I'm going to
excel.
be the Michael
No,
Jordan of personal training or whatever I
no,
do, but I'm just saying
but they excelled at what they desired or what they enjoyed.
exactly. And it's because of what their parents instilled in them at a young age. And, Michael Jordan became so innately competitive. Just I referenced this in the last episode that I just did, watching The Last Dance, Michael Jordan's documentary, right? And he talks so much about his father and how much his father mattered to him. And I believe it was his fourth or fifth championship that he won was the first one without his father. Okay. And he just and the shot of him is just in the locker room just bawling his eyes out because his dad isn't there, and every other championship, every other game before that, his dad is there. But innately, that competitiveness that made Michael Jordan so good was instilled in his father from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right? And Tiger Woods' tenacity to keep moving, to no matter what happens, was from his father blowing whistles at him, shooting guns while he's a child, while he's practicing golf. Like, it's bizarre, these things. And I'm not saying you were shooting guns or, you gave us sticks with nails in it. But to that point, innately, I am now understanding, and from a subconscious level, because you're seeing it at such a young age, how much that those relationships matter. And to be argued, the only thing that matters in a business transaction, in a business relationship, in business in general, and in life.
Right.
You taught me that. And you instilled that into me, not even trying. Like, you weren't like, okay, Parker, watch what I'm doing. Children watch what their parents do and mimic what their parents do, right? There are so many pictures out there and like memes that are of kids and their parents on a bus. And there's usually always like a mother and a daughter, and like a mother and another daughter or whatever, just to kind of show whatever. But it's the mother here is reading a book. The child here is reading a book. The mother here is on her phone. The child there is on the tablet or phone.
Right.
Right. So innately, we as children do exactly as you do. Mm-hmm. Right. And you see in animals, it's that primal thing. And so that's why I said, and will say till the day I die, that I attest everything that I am and everything that I do to everything that you taught me.
Wow.
So thank you for that.
I don't even know how to respond to that. I mean, that's high praise. And I certainly don't deserve that. You have turned out to be a wonderful young man. And I made so many mistakes.
As we all do.
But do you know what? There's something that attaches itself to women, and I had to be the best at cooking, at having my home decorated, at things I love to do. I led praise and worship in church. So it always had to be perfect. You guys had to be dressed to the nines. We want to be great in everything. And it's a lot of pressure. And I failed at so many things. And at night, there's still times, how in the quiet of the night, and you hear that voice saying, Sandra, do you know how badly you screwed up your family when you left your husband? And I say, Satan, do I need to remind you of your future? Do not remind me of my past, and I won't remind you of your future. Because my guilt is gone. I am free of that. You and Quentin and Sarah have forgiven me. And more importantly, Jesus forgave me. and I no longer live with that condemnation. I didn't do everything right, and I will continue to not do everything right. But I will strive to realize when I have, screwed the pooch.
But I think, everything that you're saying, it speaks loudly to parenting, right? It speaks loudly to just being, right? Making mistakes is part of the human experience.
Very much. Yeah.
Right. And one of the comments that I get a lot about this show, and I'm so thankful for it, is that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I make mistakes on here all the time. Not on just here, but in life too as well.
Yeah.
And it's just part of the human experience, making mistakes and asking for forgiveness. But more importantly too, forgiving yourself for those mistakes.
That's the hard part.
That's the hardest part.
Ooh.
Yes.
Because we often hold ourselves to a higher standard
Yeah.
than.
But it's those expectations.
Oh.
You know.
You know what though? I never thought I would enjoy being in my 50s as much as I do. And I read all these things where it's all of a sudden you just have a honey badger attitude.
I mean, you kind of do.
Yeah, I do.
Riding with the top down in the middle of October.
What? But it's a wonderful thing because, you know what? If my hair isn't perfect.
Which it is, by the way, right now.
Thank you. But you know what? I don't have to be perfect at everything anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm realizing people still like me.
Yeah.
But I like me.
Yep.
So.
I love that. I love that so much. And you know what? It again speaks true to like this show starting out.
Yeah.
Right? I was so like, I got to do everything. I got to, I'm going to make this all happen. I don't need anybody else. I don't need, and it created kind of a self experience in that regard. Like, and that's why, like, after 3 episodes that I shot with my phone and a little dinky mic, because I thought, I could do this all myself and I'm putting all this together. I thought I became like disconnected to it.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't mean as much anymore because it felt like I was just talking to myself with myself. And even though some people said they enjoyed it, they watched it and stuff like that. But, now humbling myself, knowing that it takes more people, it takes somebody who's literally gone to school for this to make things look nice. Like, but also it makes this process more worthwhile, right? Is knowing that I don't have to do it. I don't have to be perfect.
But there's a freedom in humility.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we're humble, that whole pride thing that's so rotten and disgusting can just fall away.
Yeah.
And you go, you know what? I don't have to get the glory for this.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Because we know where our glory's going.
Exactly.
And again, like, just the liberating fact of not trying to make every edge, every line, every little meticulous thing so perfect, but letting yourself go. Like, I
still have a hard time with that.
Well, yeah. But I talk about this in the last episode because I talk about the long-term game and the short-term world.
Okay.
Right? And I talk about how, in going through the steps of like visualizing how your life turns out and giving yourself like 2 years to buy a house or something like that.
Right.
When you literally don't have any savings, you don't have any financial understanding or background of what that actually takes and blah, blah, blah. Just example format is to the point of understanding the long-term aspect in something and knowing that the way that you see it turning out is not at all how it's going to turn out. But the way that it's going to turn out, if you have faith and if you trust yourself and if you're willing to make mistakes and to fail and to be okay with those mistakes and to fail, how much better that picture 2 years from now or however long it takes is so much better. Why? Because you're not constrained. You're not tied down to these expectations that you gave yourself or you let somebody else give you,
Right.
but yet you're just happy to be in existence, to try, to fail, to succeed, to prosper, to learn, to grow, and all those things. And so many people want, I just won the lottery. I have everything now.
Yeah.
Everything's perfect.
But you know what, Parker? I think what the deal is, I'm not happy to just exist, or like you said, I I am happy. I'm the happiest when I can serve.
Mm-hmm.
When I can serve others. And that's what gives me purpose. There's a difference between needing to be needed, because I don't need to be needed, but I am called to serve. There's a difference. You know the situation I'm living in right now, and there are times it's very difficult. And I'm sure for the people living in this situation with me, it's difficult for them at times too. But sometimes I feel like everything's pulling at me. But I know this is what I'm called to do right now. And it is preparing me for something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always, as someone who believes as I do, that God has called me to a higher purpose. God has called me to a purpose-driven life. That there's a reason I have what I have now, and I will be faithful in that, so that I will have more, and have more responsibility, have more opportunities to serve, not have more tacos or more cats.
Wow.
Although I would like more cats. I have none right now.
You can take mine.
Well, I want him, but that's not possible right now. But I want more opportunities to serve in a greater way. But I am thankful that he has given me what he's given me right now.
So, Mom, switching gears here a little bit with everything that we've talked about, what is the most joyous moment of motherhood?
Wow, there are so many. From when your baby is born finally and you get to hold them and look at them in the eye, and they look right at you. And then when they first time they tell you that they love you. And there's so many moments, Parker. I mean, it's impossible for me to pinpoint one. Seeing the people that you all are today fills my heart with such joy. To see how you love your friends, how you love your brother and sister, how you love your niece, how you love your dad, how you love your Grandpa Bowles. The man that you've become, the man that Quentin's become, the woman that Sarah's become, fills me with great joy. And when parents say they're proud, it's more joy. Because I'm so joyful in who you have chosen to become. Because you could have become anybody.
That I could.
I know that money and wealth, benefits, position, schooling, can all elevate people to all sorts of positions in this world. But at the end of the day, you can still choose who you're going to be. You can still choose to be a person who loves and forgives and shows grace and mercy in every regard, or you can be an absolute tool bag and treat people like garbage and treat them like they have no value and treat them like you're better than they are. I'm so thankful for who each of you have decided to become.
I love that. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Parker.
So there is not just a 23-year-old woman right now. There's a 19-year-old woman. There's a 15-year-old woman, 16-year-old woman, all ages. For the first time, going to become a mom. To their daughter, to their first daughter, first child, first son. What would be something that you would share with them before they embarked upon that journey or just beginning to? What would be something that you would say to them?
I'm going to tell you that is a precious life that is growing inside of you. You may not be sure why you're in the situation that you're in. You may not know how you got here or where you'll go from here. But know that that person inside of you will become an intricate part of everything you will ever become. That person is valuable. That person is loved. That person was predestined to live and survive and enjoy, and more than survive, to thrive on this planet before the creation of the world even started. You are loved, and out there are, if you're alone, contact Parker, contact Leo's Touch, and he can put you in touch with people who can help and come alongside you, because parenting isn't easy. I'm not going to tell you it is. Be glad your child wasn't born in 1998. But I will tell you that the blessings and the joys far exceed the tears and the frustrations. Never doubt that you are on a mission. And it isn't whether you choose to accept it, it's how you accept it that's going to make all the difference.
Boom. I love you, Mom.
I love you too, boo-boo.
So I hope you guys now know why, in my opinion, even before this even recorded, that this is going to be the most and will be the most important episode that will ever be on this podcast.
Till I'm on next time. What? No, just kidding.
Now you know where Quentin gets it. But to that point, Mom, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And I knew 2 days ago that God spoke to me in a way that there is no mistake in him telling me that you were the one to come onto the show, that you were my next guest, you know.
I'm absolutely honored and delighted to work with you and Andrew and to see what you're doing and to see what God's going to do through you. So thank you for asking me. And I'm just a phone call away.
I thought it was going to be like a little bit harder to get you onto the show, I'll be honest.
Really?
Well, because, we've been talking about you doing your own baking channel, you doing this, you doing that, and it all involves you getting in front of a camera.
Oh, I love the camera.
Yeah, so that's why I can't understand. That's why I can't understand why you had so much resistance to those other ideas. But I understand a little bit more now. But besides that point, I was like thinking in my head, okay, like how can I really convince my mom come onto the show and blah blah blah. If you put up any resistance, literally called you, boom, yep, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And again,
Of course, I'd do anything for you.
and that's true.
Well, except for, major felonies.
I'm pretty sure giving your children sticks with
That was not a
nails and that
felony.
was a felony.
That was not a
Well,
felony.
it should be. Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one. And if you or someone you know would find value in what my mom and I talked about today, and I hope you do, I'm pretty sure you will, share it with them. Share it with them if it even calls to you in some way. And if you don't know anybody, but it had value with you, I just ask that you share it, because maybe there is somebody out there who is just passing your profile by or passing, your Instagram account, and they see that you shared this episode and they go and watch it, and it has impact on them. And I just pray that it does, and that it reaches the ears and hearts and minds of someone right now who needs it more than ever. And again, I just thank you guys so much for all the support, for all the messages, for just everything that you guys have poured onto me and onto Andrew, for starting this and just giving it all we got, and allowing us to get better through this, and again, for that support. Thank you guys so much for that. And one thing that I want to say, and this has been something that's been on my mind, I'm going to be putting together a portion or a group or a page together on Leo's Touch actual Facebook page, for you guys to anonymously comment or share with me current situations that you guys are going through, and maybe something, maybe you're struggling with aspects of some of the topics that we've talked about in previous episodes, or maybe something that you just got going on that we haven't touched on yet, but you want to know more, or want to know ways that you can work with it, so that maybe even I can take that back, and then I can put in place for the next episode to have somebody of professionalism in that degree. So, for example, if there's something that you need, to understand in a way that I haven't had somebody on the show yet who could do that, then it gives me the idea of who my next guest is, who I can reach out to bring value to you. Because again, as my mom said in this episode, the most important thing is to be of service to others. Mm-hmm. I don't care what you do. I don't care who you are. Being of service can happen anywhere. Andrew is of service, and it's the most beautiful thing. I couldn't thank him more for that. I am of service as a personal trainer, and I hope I want to be as much service as I can be to you for listening to the show, because you spend hours listening to the show if you're an avid listener, and I can't even fathom that. It just puts a smile on my face for eternity that there is somebody out there who is watching each and every episode and taking away from it something of value that they can add onto their lives. And I just thank you guys so much for that opportunity to be of service to you. So with that being said, you guys, again, my greatest thanks. And until next time, take care of yourself, and we will see you soon.